All right, so number one, all we're doing is solving for x. So, whoops, let's find number one. All right, number one is just a basic equation. What do y'all have to do first when y'all see the parentheses? Got to distribute, right? So everybody go ahead on number one and distribute, and then combine like terms and see what you get. All right, you'll have a problem like number one will be the first problem. I got minus 6x plus 18 minus 4. Next step, remember, go through and find all your like terms on the left side. I got three numbers right here that are alike. Somebody add those three numbers up for me, please. 74 plus 18 minus 4. What is it?
88.
88. All right, so we got 88 minus 6x equals 10. And what's the next number we got to move over?
88.
All right, move positive 88 over, it'll be a negative 88. Y'all finish that, see what you get. Let's do it after that. All right, so that was an easy one. All right, 2 and 3 are also normally pretty easy. Look at number 2. We did this yesterday. What does every number have in common?
X.
An x. And what are you supposed to do when everything has an x in common? Take out an x up front. So, first step, come on. Your first step's going to look like that. Okay, how many answers do we have to find on this problem?
3.
Got to find 3. Our first answer for this x is going to be what, Zane?
X equals 0.
X equals 0. That's how you get that extra answer. The rest of it, you take your A, your B, your C, plug it into quadratic formula to find your second and third answer. Go. Should be good.
Coach, do we have to write x equals 0 out every time?
Number 3 looks just like number 2. Do the same steps. So try 3 and we'll check it. All right, the formula right here, Colt, says 2 times A. So I looked at my A was 12. I did 2 times 12 and got 24, right? All right, so now finish it up from there. I think everything's good on that one. All right, anybody got a question on 3? You don't have to show a whole lot of work on those. All right, so we're going to 4. All right, number 4 we talked about yesterday. Everybody look at number 4. Remember I said this is the hardest problem on the test. All right, I've already changed something. Look up on the board and see what I changed from what's on your paper.
You already flipped the 4.
I've already flipped the 4 over to the left side because you got to set it equal to 0. That's your first step. You got to set it equal to 0. Now, can we do quadratic formula on this one? We cannot. Why? Because it's got a 4. You can only do quadratic formula when it's an x2, x squared. Which doesn't make sense, does it? Because quadratic, quad means 4, right?
Right.
Anyway, another story. So, all we can do on this one is factor it out. This is how we did it yesterday. All right, how did y'all factor out the x to the 4th in the front of the problem? What did we do with that yesterday? Y'all remember? We split it up. x2, x2, right? Okay. Now we got to find some numbers we can times that equal 4. I was thinking 2 times 2, but that won't work. How come? They've got to add up to give you negative 3. And if you add that up, you get 4. If you subtract it, you get 0. That doesn't work. So we're going to go, I think Zane said negative 4 plus 1. All right, that will work. Because now look, they multiply to give you negative 4, and they add to give you negative 3. So you can't use 2 on this one. I tried to use 2 times 2, it won't work.
How do I get 4 answers?
How do we get 4 answers? Let's do it. Does anybody remember the next step from yesterday? Move your -4 across the equal sign. That's going to give you +4 there. Move your +1 across the equal sign. That gives you -1 there. All right, does anybody remember how do we get rid of x squared?
Square root.
Take the square root. What's the square root of 4? Hey, it's plus or minus 2. That's how we're going to get 4 answers.
Oh.
All right, same thing on the other side. What's the square root of, well, the square root of, the square root of 1 is 1. What's the square root of -1? 1i, good. So we had to get 4 answers. I got a +2 and a -2. I got a +1i and a -1i. That's 4 answers. All right, so that's the hardest problem on the test. And mainly because we don't do very many of them. We only do 1 a day. All right, so I'm going to help you with 5, and then hopefully y'all will be able to do 6. All right, does anybody remember how do we start factoring this problem when you have a square root of x in the middle of the problem?
Square everything.
You square root of x in the front of both answers. Yep. Now we've got to factor this one as well. We've got to find numbers we can times together that's going to give you 8. I would think 2 and 4. But that won't work, will it? So what's our only other option? 1 times 8. All right, you guys put the signs in that are going to work. So when you add them up, you get -7 in the middle. And it's going to have to be -8 and +7, because when you add, -8 and +1, because when you add them up, it's got to equal -7. All right, so what was the next step on problem 4 from here? Well, before I square them, we got to switch them over. Move +1 over. That one's -1. -8, move it, it's +8. So now we square to get rid of the square root. And if you square -1, you get +1. Square 8, you get 64. Not plus or minus. It's only plus or minus if you take a square root. All right, so these are our answers. Now, I showed y'all this yesterday. These are the only problems you got to worry about checking your work on. Most of these problems will have an answer that does not work. What's the shortcut I showed you yesterday?
It's a negative.
If it's a negative, when you square it, that answer will not work. I had a -1 when I squared it. It's not going to work. This one was a +8 when I squared it. It's okay. All right, what did I say yesterday about if they're both negative, you throw them both out and you don't have any answers left?
Solution.
It's no solution. All right, I showed you 5. Y'all should be able to do 6. Same type problem. On Thursday, guys, the only type problems on the quiz are going to be these type, like 7 through 10. That's it. It's not going to be anything else. All right, so remember, if they give you what's in the box, it's already been solved for x. Let's go ahead and put 3/2 in the box. All right, so Zane Baxley, what is the extra step I have to do before I bring my numbers down on this one? Why do we have to divide by 2? Because there's a fraction in the box, and that's what they've got on the bottom is 2. So 2 divided by 2, bring down a 1. Bring down a 1/2. 46 divided by 2 is 23, and then -39. All right, let's stop and see if y'all can finish it. So you bring that first number down. 3/2 times 1 is 3/2. Hayden just added these up. His calculator gave him 2. All right, if you multiply 2 times 3/2, I think you get 3. Y'all check me on that. That's true. Add them up, you get 26. And I did it first block. 26 times 3/2 is +39. I know I've done it right so far because the last column canceled. So now y'all got your A, your B, and your C. Do the quadratic formula. And I think you get an I in this one, if I'm not mistaken.